every minute in the 2018 World Cup for Australia. And I was talking about the Scottish connections. He also plays his football out in Dundee United. Plenty of Scottish connections with Australia's. Behic has a throw on this left-hand side. Plenty of Tunisian supporters across the ground at both ends of the stadium. They're just a small corner of yellow to where the Australians are attacking right now. They've got a throw on this left-hand side, about 30 yards from the Tunisian goals. Behic tries to drive it down the line, but it's intercepted on this right-hand side by Mohamed Draga, getting his first few touches on the ball. Marco says and reckons it will be Tunisia 2, Australia 0, and in there I'm not too sure about Italy, of course. Feature, and they haven't featured at this World Cup, of course. Unable to qualify as Tunisia come forward on this left-hand side, but Ali Abdi can't quite keep it in. Australia have a throw on just on the halfway line. Fran Karacic coming up from the back to take it. Karacic stepping in for Atkinson today. Karacic, who was born in Zagreb, Croatia, but features for Australia, is able to qualify to feature for his national team, playing his football out in Italy for Brescia in the Serie B, as Tunisia get a first few passes round the back as Yasser Mariah knocks it down this right-hand side into the Australian defensive half now. Good pressure by Jabali on the Australian defence, forcing them to clear, and Tunisia can move forward now on this right-hand side, trying to drive in towards that penalty area. Aaron Moy clears as is fallen to Mitchell Duke, as they move forward on this left-hand side. There's a strong challenge in there on the halfway line by the Tunisians as Craig Goodwin whips the ball into the middle now. Good header cleared by Ali Abdi at the far post. Aaron Moy now on this left-hand side plays it to Goodwin. There's a foul called by the German referee, and Aaron Moy still holds his groin. There's a bit of a strong challenge in there. We've seen a few yellow cards distributed across this competition. None yesterday in the England-America game, despite there being quite a few contentious decisions as to whether it was a yellow card. There's a strong challenge in there by Mohamed Draga on Aaron Moy, and the referee is just being called into action in the first 5 minutes, and Craig Goodwin and Aaron Moy stand over this. Goodwin at 30 years of age, he's played 6 games in the A-League so far this year. He's one of Australia's key men when going forward. They'll be looking to him for their goals probably today, as Aaron Moy stands over this free kick with the big men from the back. Soita and Keir Rawls up from the back. Goodwin steps over. Aaron Moy whips it in towards that far post. It's cleared by the Tunisians as they step forward, and it's a long shot from Karacic that is blocked. Aaron Moy knocks it down the line. Lovely take by Aaron Moy as Goodwin has it on this left-hand side. Moy now back to Goodwin, and Australia can regroup on the halfway line, getting themselves back in possession of the ball. Really, really good play by Aaron Moy. He's just showing his class and why he's played at such a high level for so long, playing his football now for Celtic. Once again, a Scottish connection. He's made 20 games in the SPL so far this year. Good play by Mitchell Duke, putting a bit of pressure on the Tunisians as Australia start to get a foothold on the ball. Aaron Moy now knocking it down on this left-hand side, about 45 yards from the Tunisian goal. It's Goodwin now on this left-hand side on his left foot, playing it down the line to his left-back partner. He whips it into the middle, and it's a good header by Yasser Mariah as Tunisia start to struggle a little bit in these opening encounters. Australia start to get on. Tunisia need to get themselves on the ball as Australia keep on moving it, and there's a good piece of defending by Mohamed Draga, and Tunisia can get themselves on the ball only momentarily as Draga knocks it long down the line, and Jabali is trying to put a bit of pressure on the centre-back, and that looks like a strong challenge in there by Asaya Ladouni, who was really passionate with that piece of defending he did only a minute in against Christian Eriksen on the opening day for Tunisia. And it was going through the year, going through the Twitter feeds, I should say. People were reacting to that passion. I was saying that's what we want to see on the biggest stage of them all. And Rolo, I appreciate the kind comments there as the Tunisian supporters are in their strong numbers, coming over from Africa, a much shorter distance for them to come over and watch their side play compared to the Australians to come, of course, all the way from land down under, as they say, as Aaron Moy knocks it down in towards Goodwin, good bit of play now as Goodwin moves down this left-hand side. So fantastic piece of defending though by Dragger, as he knows he's got a long day ahead of him, does Dragger, but he's certainly stepping up to the mark so far. Goodwin is the heavy of the play at the moment, is coming down this left-hand side for Australia as Behic comes forward now, trying to find Mitchell Duke. Mitchell Duke moving through the paces, and it's good defending there by Colby as Bronze, as Australia have a throw on this left-hand side, just inside of the Tunisian corner flag nearly, and they're very close to going out for a corner. Australia trying to get out of this corner as well. Great play by Behici, whips it into the middle, cleared by Laduni at the near post as Aaron Moy wins it back, and Australia whip the ball into the middle now. No one really in there though to attack it, but they get the second ball as well, and they come out on this right-hand side now with Fran Karasic trying to play it down the line, but well intercepted by Ali Abdi. Ali Abdi can move forward now, but he's got his touch too heavy, and he showed too much of the ball to key roles, and Australia got away with one there, you would say. Tunisia had a little bit of a break on, but Ali Abdi just overdid his touch, and it was easy enough in the end for the Australians to get themselves back in possession. Emsui saying Tunisia will win. Alan saying this is going to be an upset game. An upset result. Love to get your score prediction there, Alan saying, as Tunisia are back in possession once again with their goalkeeper Armin Darman. I was saying this on the last commentary. Then for Tunisia, for Sammy, when they played against Denmark, a lovely story about Armin Darman, only 25 years of age, and he's only ever played for one club throughout his career. It's a lovely story that Darman has, as Goodwin moves down the line. He flicks it over to Lecky. Lecky now on this right-hand side, about 25-30 yards from the Tunisian goal. Australia into the penalty area now. He tries to be whipped into the middle, but good defending by Laduni for Tunisia. He's got the ball inside of Tunisia's corner flag as they look to clear for with Ali Abdi, knocking it down to the halfway line. Great play by Jabali, fending off the challenges, but the referee has blown his whistle. I think it came off the arm of Jabali. He was trying to chest it down as the referee tries to diffuse the situation, but Australia really want to get going quickly. Jackson Irvine is screaming at his team to get the ball moving and get the game restarted once again. Msui saying, who watched the game again with Iran, I'm presuming talking about Iran-Wales there. We were discussing that earlier. Huge talking point from the yesterday matches, and really sets up a massive game for England with England-Wales. Wales knowing that anything other than a win, and they are confirmed as out of the World Cup after waiting since 1958 to feature again. Rolo saying you will end Tunisia 2, Australia 1, and Alassane saying, I'm sorry to say Australia will score the first goal. No worries, Alassane, but Australia do a free kick on the halfway line. Aaron Moy to take. Tunisia is setting up with quite a deep line, nearly on the edge of their penalty area. Even though the free kick is a good 40 yards away, Aaron Moy whips it in towards that far post. Is well taken at the back stick as Australia come forward once again with the ball on this left-hand side. Plenty of options in the middle to be crossed into the middle, but cleared at the near post by Mariah as Tunisia can clear only momentarily to the halfway line. Australia back in possession once again. 11 minutes played. You're listening to Semi SK Football in association with the Commentary Zone. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's currently Tunisia 0, Australia 0. Just 11 minutes gone as Australia get themselves in possession once again with Harry Soito playing his football for Stoke in the Championship as they move forward again. Australia on this right-hand side. It's a good header one, and once again they keep possession of the ball. Good play in by Lecky towards Aaron Moy. Once again he goes out on this left-hand side now to Aziz Behic as he plays it to Craig Goodwin. Once again, Australia keeping the ball. Tunisia keeping themselves in the game. They were talking pre-match how Tunisia rarely concede many goals, so it's always going to be difficult for the Australians to break them down. They come forward on this right-hand side now, trying to break them down with Fran Karasic, as once again it's read by the Tunisians and cleared up towards Jabali. Jabali with a good piece of attacking work, holding the ball up against the centre-back for Australia today. Key roles is really good play by Jabali, but sure enough his good play is only met by Australian legs, and they found a way back into possession as well as Behic gets his first few touches in this left back position. Back with Matt Ryan now playing his football for Copenhagen, as I mentioned earlier. earlier out in Denmark. Of course, Australia's next game after this one is against Denmark. You can listen to live commentary on that across the Semi-SK football channels, and also all of the games across this World Cup. Do be sure to check out here on Semi-SK football as Australia get themselves back in possession once again on this halfway line. Key roles now moving it down the centre of the park as it's knocked back to Matt Ryan, and Tunisia are starting to step it up again now. They're starting to move forward about a good 20 yards from where their defensive line originally was, and they're starting to spread the game and push themselves into it. But it's a great header won by Duke as he's trying to flick it on towards Riley McGree, but there's a foul called on the halfway line. It's a strong challenge on Slitty as he's holding the back of his lower leg. Strong challenge in there by Aziz Behic, but the referee is going to keep his cards in his pocket. I don't think we're going to see the first yellow card of the game just yet. It was a bit of a nasty challenge, but Slitty will be able to continue. Slitty at 30 years of age, playing his football out in for Vienne, born in Marseille and there's a mistake there at the back as Mitchell Duke comes forward now, plays it out on this right hand side towards Matthew Leckie. A mistake there, giving the ball away cheaply were Tunisia. They were just playing out from the back, they were for a moment with Yassin Mariah, but he just got his footing wrong, and there was a good interception by Mitchell Duke, and that won't do the confidence of Yassin Mariah any good. He was sent off on his second cap, was Mariah, and he just got himself a little bit caught up there. He didn't come to anything in the end. It was good defending, good recovery actually by Yassin Mariah, just to be able to clear it at the near post after the ball was whipped into the middle by Matthew Leckie. Seb says Tunisia will make Africa happy by 2-2. Nice prediction there as it's whipped into the middle now towards Duke, but cleared once again by Mariah. He does seem to be doing his defensive work very, very well. It's on the edge of the penalty area now, goes down under the challenge, does Matthew Leckie, but the referee isn't interested. Ball tried to be played in towards Jabali there, but just overhit it. Trying to play it from the back is Karacic as he gets his pass a little bit wrong, and there's a strong challenge in there by Jackson Irvine. They're not afraid to put a foot in. Really good play by him. Allison says that both teams will score. I'm talking about the 2002 World Cup, of course, 20 years ago. The Brazilians winning there, and the Brazilians favourites within this tournament. Neymar, who won't feature in the remaining group stage games as they continue to monitor that knock he took on his ankle. And just linking into the question that Msui has asked there, who will be champions 2022? Let's get your thoughts of that in the comments section as Tunisia have the ball on the halfway line now, moving it down this right-hand side towards Mohamed Draga, 26 years of age. He plays it back into the centre with Yassin Mariah. Mariah now with Torby to his left, who we haven't seen much in this game so far. Montassar Torby was my man of the match last time in that Tunisia-Denmark game. Real stellar display at the back, which is what Tunisia base a lot of their game on. A strong defensive unit playing this. What I did say looked like a back four on paper, but has moved to more of a back five now as the game has progressed, with Yassin Mariah in that central centre-back role, Montassar Torby in that left centre-back role, and Dylan Bron in that right centre-back role. So this back three and then the back five as it shifts in out of possession, with Mohamed Draga dropping in as well as Ali Abdi. And it's just causing the Australians a few problems, because despite them getting a bit of space within their own half and just on the halfway line, Tunisia still have so many men behind the ball, and it's quite hard for the Australians to try and break them down as Matt Ryan knocks it down this right wing towards Matthew Leckie. Does well to win the initial header, but Ali Abdi gets there in the end as offside is called against Jabali, and Australia have a free kick just inside of their own half. Naeem Slitty just being called there, just having a little word with the referee was Slitty. It's on this left-hand side now with Behic down the line towards Duke. Duke that goes down under the challenge. There's a strong jump and leap by Mitchell Duke, and he really took a fall for it. The referee might have to halt play for a moment. He jumped up to try and win the header, and just no fault of anybody really, just the way he landed after the jump, right on his back, and referee just maybe get some attention to him. He's going to need a moment just to steady himself. You can see there Pravin saying thinks Brazil will win. Saudi Arabia and Iran was so good and they can be much better. Yes, of course, we've seen sides that probably people wrote off at the beginning of the tournament that have been really, really impressive so far, particularly Saudi Arabia, who managed to find a way against Argentina. I think that will go down as the upset of the tournament. Allison saying about Japan as well, another team causing a bit of an upset. As Jose Mourinho said during the week, he believed it wasn't much of an upset. And there's this agenda in Europe about how the gap is, how big the gap is between that and other sides from different continents. But it was a great win for Japan nonetheless, beating Germany 2-1. Once again, Australia come away with the ball in the halfway line. Back to the game, they've got options down this left-hand side, which they use with Craig Goodwin. Goodwin now whipping it into the middle now. Duke trying to win the initial header, cleared by Yassin Mariah at the first attempt and Toolby at the second. But once again, Australia win the ball quite high. Now it's Karacic on this right-hand side trying to play it into the middle, forcing the pass quite a bit, and Tunisia can come away with the ball as they move it onto this right-hand side now, down the centre now. They come driving forward. It's in behind towards Jabali. Tunisia a bit of a charge. Tunisia into the penalty area now. Aaron Moy's got some defending to do. Couldn't quite make it at the first attempt, but good defending at the second attempt. And Australia, sure enough, see it out of play, and it goes out for a goal kick. Mascani was coming in, the captain for Tunisia today. A nice counter-attacking move. Great run by Jabali. Did really, really well to hold it up as well. Moved it down on this right-hand side into the penalty area. Tried to play it back first time towards Mascani on the edge of the box. And just through the sheer amount of numbers that Australia had, they were just able to let Mascani run it out of play. And it was really good defending in the end by the Australians. You're to 20 minutes in here. It's 0-0 between Tunisia and Australia. Listening to Sammy SK Football in association with the commentary zone. Goodwin goes up for a header now against Mohamed Drager as Tunisia come away with the ball. Aaron Moy wins it back, but it was decided he won it back with his hand. And sure enough, a free kick was called on the halfway line for Tunisia. M. Swee saying Germany versus Spain will be a good game. Of course, the pressure is on the Germans, not so much on the Spanish, who won 7-0 against Costa Rica, their biggest win in their World Cup history. As Tunisia come forward now on this left-hand side with Ali Abdi. Good interception, though, by Fran Karacic, playing in right back today. The 26-year-old Ali Abdi throws it in first time. He tries to get the play going very, very quickly. Karacic looked like he just committed a foul there, just shoving one of the Tunisians in the back as Dragon goes for the long shot on the about 25, 30 yards out. It looked like a long distance out for the shot, but first effort towards goal for the Tunisians. It's been quite a cagey start so far in this game. Hasn't really been many chances for either side to really shout about. It's been a bit of a slow starter in the opening 20 minutes of this game, but of course we'll be interested to see how much added time the officials believe should be added on, which has been a big talking point so far within this World Cup. It's been highly debated. Should so much be added on? In Australia's last game, in towards the 90th minute, when they were still 4-1 down, a good 8-9 minutes was added on, and there was the argument with some people in the British media: should the game have just been stopped, and should the game have had less extra time because by Craig Goodwin, and Mitchell Duke just got away from his man, and Australia have the lead in the first 23 minutes of this game. It's Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Mitchell Duke, the 31-year-old, with the goal. It's his first World Cup, and he debuted for Australia all the way back in 2013 against South Korea. And sure enough, his last international goal was against their fellow neighbours, New Zealand, just 2 months ago. And he's got a goal in the World Cup as well, with a great header past helpless Armand Darman. It was a great ball in by Craig Goodwin with his left foot. A bit of a deflective cross. The smile on Duke's face now is absolutely brilliant. He can't stop smiling. Great touch by Duke initially on the halfway line, and there was a slight mix-up in the middle as Riley McGree knocked it down the left-hand side. It's a good inside lapping run by Ezes Behic as Craig Goodwin moved forward with his left foot, and about 25-30 yards out from goal on this far left-hand side, he whipped it into the middle with his left foot, and the ball deflected, kind of deflected up as well in towards the head of Mitchell Duke. And it's such a clever header, just flicks it up and over towards the far right corner, and Darman at full stretch couldn't quite get there, and the ball went home into the bottom right corner, into the light of Australia's coach Graham Arnold. Australia have the lead here in the opening 24 minutes now. It's Tunisia 0, Australia 1, with a beautiful header, as Kate says correctly. It was a really nice goal as Chavali tries to take the ball down the edge of the Australian penalty area, but handball called, and Australia have a free kick now. Mitchell Duke with his 9th goal for Australia in terms of his whole career, and that was his first goal at this World Cup. Of course, it was Goodwin who got the goal against France in their last game, and he was the provider this time. It's a really well displayed header by Mitchell Duke. Just was so composed just to head it over Armand Darman and just direct it into the corner. That was the hard bit of this header. It was the direction, not so much the power. It was the accuracy, and it was really well taken by Mitchell Duke with 20 minutes left on the clock in this first half. It's Tunisia 0, Australia 1. There's a really strong challenge put in there by, I believe that's Jabali on Goodwin, and sure enough, he's going to go into the book. It was a really late challenge put in on the provider. My apologies, it was Laduni instead. Really strong challenge by the holding midfielder on Goodwin. Always going to be a foul when Australia have a free kick about 30-35 yards out, and Tunisia are by no means out of this game or competition. If this tie was to end 1-0, they still got a good opportunity after finding a point against Denmark in the opening fixture, and this game is by no means done. It's on this left-hand side now for Australia to whip the ball in with Aaron Moy in towards the penalty area now. It's floated in, and good clearance in the end by Laduni, and Tunisia can smash the ball down the halfway line, but give possession back to Australia with Matt Ryan to have possession and settle down. And it was really good play so far by the Australians. They have been the better side so far early on, and as they move forward on this left-hand side now, Craig Goodwin to whip the ball into the penalty area for Mitchell Duke's header. Matt Ryan now down the right-hand side. As you have a throw on this left-hand side, Ali Abdi still complaining at the referee why wasn't a foul called against the challenge from Matthew Leckie. Tunisia were complaining for a foul in the build-up to the goal on the halfway line. I think it was Riley McGree just turned and maybe put a little bit of a half challenge. There were 1 or 2 complaints, but the VAR deemed it not enough to call off the goal. Mitchell Duke just put in a really good challenge there as Tunisia move forward now, trying to find it to Jabali, but good interception by Karacic as sure enough handball called actually on the halfway line. Tunisia with a free kick as Duke goes down holding his knee. The goal scorer is just holding his knee at the moment, and I think he's going to need some attention. The ball I can see there is hoping for Tunisia. Allison saying my prediction is correct, Australia to score the first goal and also win the game. And I can see a few of your comments there, Kate, saying only the sun shines for free. You can see that there as Duke just gets himself back onto his feet. We just had a break in play momentarily as Tunisia have the free kick on the halfway line now, playing it down the line on this left-hand side towards Ali Abdi. Sure enough, they cut back and Duke reads it once again. Australia really engaging with their press high up, and we saw Saudi Arabia do that against Australia, against Argentina, my apologies. Saudi Arabia winning 2-1 as the ball is on this left-hand side now with Australia. Aaron Moy playing it down the line nearly to and Tunisia have a throw on this right-hand side. Mohamed Draga to take it. Your 28 minutes played. You're listening to Semi-SK Football in association with the commentary zone. It's currently Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Mitchell Duke with the first goal of the game as Tunisia have the ball on the halfway line now. Back with Yassin Mariah. Yassin Mariah in the centre of the park now. Talby to his left. He goes down this right-hand side instead towards Dylan Bron. Dylan Bron knocking it down towards Jabali. Jabali here does a few. They're giving the referee a decision to make of the Tunisians, and they've decided to give it in the Australians' favour. More the linesman calling the foul by Mohamed Draga on centre-back Harry Soiter just on the edge of the box. Mohamed Draga just going up for a challenge and just getting in the way of Harry Soiter, and it was always going to be a foul against the Tunisians once they soon doubled up on key roles, actually. The man playing for Hearts at the minute in Scotland at his parent club, of course, as I was talking about, the Scottish connections across this Australian team, both in key roles, and Aaron Moy playing their football out in Scotland, and plenty of players that have played at some point in Scotland, like Harry Soiter, moving from Dundee United back in 2016 as Tunisia try to make a play forward down the line as it goes to Lasuni. Lasuni into the middle where Mascani is there to meet it. As there's a strong challenge in there, and there's complaints for a yellow card from the Tunisians as it's a foul on the halfway line. They had a little bit of a break on, but the referee isn't too interested in going to his pocket for the Australians. He's just actually going to have a word with Jackson Irvine and telling him to watch himself, but otherwise he'll probably be finding himself in the referee's notebook as Tunisia have a free kick on the halfway line now, moving it down on this right-hand side, flicked over actually on this left-hand side to Ali Abdi. Ali Abdi with a great header. Jabali now into the penalty area for Tunisia. Jabali just couldn't quite get it down. It was good defending in the end by Karacic and key roles to clear, and there's a strong challenge in there by Talby against Duke as he goes down as once again it's just on that back of his, and there's sure enough it's flaring up a little bit now. I think it was the manager of Wahibi Kazri, actually. Not quite sure what happened here, as I think it was actually the youngster. It was the youngster for Tunisia, Hannibal Medbury, wasn't selected today. He was just on the bench as he kicked the ball back into play, and he kicked it right past Mitchell Duke, who reacted, but they soon diffused things with a handshake. Don't think there was any malicious intent there by the youngster Medbury. It was a strong challenge that came in from Monsar Talby, and Mitchell Duke was just complaining, and sure enough, actually, in hindsight, it looked like that Medbury kind of did that deliberately, threw the ball towards Mitchell Duke, and it hit him in the face. Things got diffused quickly. I think it was Wahibi Kazri using his experience just to calm down things. We haven't seen Wahibi Kazri feature for Tunisia at this World Cup. He is their all-time leading goal scoring across World Cup competitions with 3 goals. So it'll be interesting to see if he does make an appearance in this game. Did not play against Denmark, which ended 0-0, and Tunisia are going to need a goal in this game as they find themselves 1-0 down with just about 15 minutes to play in this first half. Matthew Ryan knocks it down the centre of the field towards Duke, as Duke can't quite win the header, but Talby can, and Tunisia get themselves in possession now, only momentarily, as it's a good interception there by Matthew Leckie to the complaints of Lasuni's on a yellow card. Another challenge comes in, and this time foul called against the Tunisians, and frustration starting to brew amongst the team from Africa. They're just complaining at a number of refereeing decisions that seem to have not gone in their favour. I can't really argue with many of them. They have looked like there have been fouls, and again, like we're saying, referees, of course, at the centre of most things, but referee has dealt with most of the things so far relatively well. Matthew Leckie wins a corner on this right-hand side for Australia to take. It's their, I believe it's one of their first few corners we've seen in this game so far. It's good defending there by Monsar Toulby for Tunisia, who came all the way out towards this right wing to stop the cross coming in from Matthew Leckie, playing his football out in for Melbourne City. So long way he has come to feature in this World Cup, as well as the Australian fans that have made the journey all the way to Qatar. And sure enough, they were able to see their first goal of the game was right in front of them. So a nice moment for them as they have a corner on this right-hand side. The big man up from the back, Harry Soiter, and also key roles. There's a few options in there for Australia. Good win to whip it in now with his left foot towards that near post, and it was quite a difficult flick that Jackson Irvine was trying to do, almost Gianfranco Zola-esque. Remember a goal he scored like that. It was whipped into the middle by Craig Goodwin, and Jackson Irvine tried to flick it with his right foot round the back of his heel, but just too difficult of an angle, really, for the 29-year-old, and it goes out for a Tunisian goal kick as Armin Darman sends his side up the field and knocks it down the halfway line. As, of course, next game here on Sami SK Football, kickoff 1 o'clock British Standard Time. It is Poland versus Saudi Arabia. Huge game in that group, with Poland drawing to Mexico on match day 1 against with Ochoa making that penalty save, didn't he, against Robert Lewandowski, as Australia try and get themselves back in possession now. There's going to be a yellow card there. I think it's going to be on Riley McGree, the 24-year-old. I think it's long overdue for an Australia yellow card, as it's another foul called against Fran Karacic, and the referee actually is keeping his cards in his box, not displaying many cards today. It certainly looked like a yellow card challenge on the halfway line, as there's 10 minutes to play in this first half. You're listening to Sami SK Football in association with the commentary zone. It's currently Tunisia 0, Australia 1. Mitchell Duke, the number 15 for Australia, playing in that number 9 role and doing the job of the number 9, winning his header and putting his side in the lead. Ronaldo saying Forza Australia. M. Swee is hoping for a Saudi Arabian win later, and if Saudi Arabia were to make it 6 points out of 6, that really would be some doing, as we're just looking at the goal again. Sure enough, I think it was the referee's heel that brought down the incoming challenge from Laduni. Don't think it would have really made much of a difference, to be honest, but the referee really needs to be getting out of the way there. You can see where the Tunisians were really frustrated with what the referee has just done. It was Ellis Skiri, the holding midfielder, that was coming back trying to put a challenge in. He was a bit of a way off, but if there's any pressure on the pass, it probably would make things go a bit differently. But the Australians in the crowd with their kangaroo inflatables are certainly enjoying themselves early on in the afternoon hours in Qatar, as Matt Ryan moves it out on this left-hand side now. It's in the centre of the pitch with Aaron Moy. Flicks it out left towards Goodwin. Goodwin now on his left foot. Of course, it's the evening hours in Australia, and they're probably going to be having a party if they can hang on at the moment, as it's played back to key roles. They look to try and play out from the back. Australia not afraid to use a bit of the ball, and they're moving it around really nicely. As forwards comes Leckie, and he probably should have just played it first time. He had an option in front of him, and they could have gone to Karacic, who was making a run down this right-hand side, but Tunisia are back in possession in their own half as they knock it down this right wing towards Jabali, but Jabali can't get a foot on it. He's being crowded out by the defenders, and he doesn't have much support, does the number 9 for Tunisia. But they come forward now with Mascani. Mascani on the edge of the penalty area. Mascani with the strike, but a good block in by Aziz Behic, and Australia have a bit of defending to do now as Tunisia start to get themselves a bit of a foothold in this game. It's good to see you guys in the chat tuning in as Tunisia have a man down just on the halfway line. I think it's Mohamed Draga that went up for a challenge, and I think he just got caught with a trailing arm of Craig Goodwin going up for a header. I think it was just the hand of Goodwin just might have gone into the eye of Mohamed Draga. He might need a little bit of attention. He's still down on this really hot pitch, and Of course, that was one talking point of the competition. Will this hot climate affect the affect the countries that aren't so used to this kind of warm weather? And certainly we saw that with Saudi Arabia benefiting maybe from the heat and making that shorter journey. But then again, they are facing the Argentinians, who are tipped to be one of the best for the winning the whole competition. But they found a way to beat them, and Australia do have a bit of work to do, let's say, and they do play during over the weekend, as Tunisia just have Mohamed Draga down, but he's back to his feet, just moving his way onto the touchline, just to get some more attention. He'll be back playing at some point, as Tunisia have a throw on this right-hand side now, just inside of the Australia half, about 35-40 yards from goal. Ball is back in play now on the halfway line now for Tunisia to try and retain possession momentarily, as the press once again comes from Australia. And you can see what Australia's manager Graham Arnold wants from his side. He doesn't want them to sit back. He wants them to take the game to Tunisia, and taking the game they are doing. Good win now on this left-hand side. Plays it in the centre towards Riley McGree. Riley McGree trying to roll a ball in behind towards Matthew Leckie, who tried to win a sliding tackle, and to the frustration of Armin Darman, it looked like it was a bit too aggressive by Leckie, and sure enough, it definitely should be due a yellow card. It was good defending by Monsar Toulby to get back, knock the ball away from Leckie, and he absolutely cleaned out the centre-back, and Armin Darman was complaining for a yellow card. Anywhere else in the field, Leckie would probably get himself booked, but referee letting the play continue and still keeping his cards in his pocket, as Addison says, Argentina versus Mexico match. My prediction is Mexico not to lose, as Tunisia have a chance now inside of the penalty area. It's a great block there by Harry Soiter. Just came out of nothing, really. A long ball down the line, which Jabali was able to make, and it was played to Mohamed Draga. It's the best chance of the game for Tunisia. Mohamed Draga straight back onto the field of play. It was just a throw on down the line by Ali Abdi. Great play by Jabali to hold the ball up, and then it was knocked to Mohamed Draga, and a really imperative block by Harry Soiter, making his way over. Great leg he got there, as the corner's whipped in. The resulting corner is whipped in, but cleared at the second attempt by Craig Goodwin. He puts pressure once again on the halfway line against the Tunisians. Got 5 minutes to play here in this first half, but we will probably see a bit of added time in there, as it's floated into the middle now. But Matt Ryan gathers, but he spills it, but the referee has given a free kick against the jumping in challenge by Monsar Toulby. It was really brave goalkeeping by Matt Ryan. It was floated into the middle, and Matt Ryan's probably about 12-15 yards off his line. He comes up to try and gather it, and Monsar Toulby, to be honest, doesn't really do anything wrong. He just tries and jumps and collects to try and win the header. Matt Ryan really brave, jumping up, trying to hold it as well, and he wasn't really complaining for a foul, was the Australian Matt Ryan, but the referee did himself a favour, and so he's just have a look at that chance again. Mohamed Draga trying to slot it past Matt Ryan. He didn't really get a clean connection with the shot, did the right wing back, moving up down that right hand side, trying to knock it in with his right foot, but didn't really hit it as powerfully as probably he wanted, as Australia come forward now on this right hand side, trying to find Matthew Leckie, but ball runs out of play, and Ali Abdi has a throw on now. Addison saying that